Okay, hi, welcome back. So, yeah, I think it's that time of the year again where I have to put some ice underneath my laptop. When we go to the desktop, hopefully it shouldn't be the same problem. But until then, let's try and do that. So, all right, let's go back with the program. Let's get back with the program. So today we are going to get back to our prototype and wanted to try some things with comonads to sort of justify my investment in this comonadic UI framework. I have this idea that it will make things composable, but I might be wrong, and it could be that this is all an illusion. But let's try and see whether in fact we are uncovering something or not. So to try this out, one of the things I wanted to do was see whether by using some existing known comonads like cursors, for instance, which to be honest I haven't seen necessarily yet a formulation that's comonadic of that, but so maybe we should try with something simpler. How about that? How about store, maybe? Um, I think a store is not quite unlike a cursor or a database query, but maybe that's a simple thing that we can try. And that's also in the idea of trying to get a better example than just a counter and a console. So what does that mean? It means that so far what we had, and let me go back to, right, so we should have there we go, something running, not this one. We need this one. No. Okay, so I think, yeah, I think maybe at this point, this was actually, blowing up, I think, because of our, yeah, see, it's, in fact, it's attaching, it's reattaching the event subscription every time there's a new event. So that's obviously wrong, and we want to probably fix that first. So how do we fix that? Let me think. First of all, let me be right back and do a few housekeeping things. Okay, and I'm back. So, what do we have? Right, we have this subscription event that is attached. As this kind of double inversion of control thing, where we pass this this function input that waits for send, and then once it's called, meaning once yeah, meaning once so once send is called, which is in the event handler here on key up, send is called, and then the send actually will trickle down to being called here, which will modify the React state, which will re-render. So that's the control flow. So when we call send, we actually each time, oh well, no, hold on. Yeah, when we call send here, we call send as well here. We right, yeah, in fact, each time input is basically called several times, which is the issue here. And so that's what led me to look into hooks last time. We could either call input once here. That's something like that I tried here. I tried to imagine that I'd get the unsubscription from the from here, from the event subscribe, maybe pass it down by saying that it's returning an effect of effect unit, and then be able to call unsubscribe somehow, which is all very messy. Is there another way that I can do that? The thing is, I can only bump the state in that render function, right? Because that's where modify state is going to occur and where re-render is going to occur. So that's that is unavoidable here. So I could either avoid resubscription here, or I could avoid resubscription here. Here would be more direct, but it would mean that I need some ambient state somehow, and that would mean that I'm passing that out somehow. Here it would also mean that, but at least I have some place to put my state, which is what I started to try and do here. So let's continue with this approach, I would say. So the idea would be to initialize unsubscription to pure unit. So that might not be the right type. No, maybe it is the right type. Would be effect unit, and so I would get unsubscribe. I would unsubscribe. And then I get the next unsubscription by calling input with send and the current unsubscription. Why do I need to pass the current unsubscription here? I might not need to do that. I might just be able to just get the unsubscription. And then return it, which means that now input returns effect to effect unit. So let's see what that means, because then we do input send, and then I suppose I wanted to unsubscribe here, but that doesn't make sense. I think basically here where we wanted to pass the yes, I see why I wanted to pass the subscription is because I want to use this state here. So I could just maybe re-modify state and not pass it through that send, because that I think is very messy. So that would be we modify state. Is that the previous state? It is the previous state. So here we would say unsub and pass unsub. And then here we would pass space and then return unsub being unsub next. And this I think is, I'm not sure whether we absolutely need to do that, but so unsub next has type unit. Cannot match type. Okay, so we're going to need to type this. We want it to be effect unit. Is that right? And then unsub next, yeah, because input so far doesn't compile, because explore needs to take something that returns effect of effect unit right here. Okay, and so now if I save this, what's up? Cannot match type effect unit with, okay, so can I just do this? I wonder. And now what's the type? Type is effect unit. So maybe I just return unsub. Isn't that the same thing? Ah, no, that sounds like it actually is working. But what about here? Here, yeah, we need to give you space. And or is it state? No, it is space, and space is shadow, but we don't really care. And that seems like it would actually build. So let's see if we here, however, it doesn't work. Unsub is not a function. Yeah, what? Oh, unsub, yeah, that is shadowed. Okay, must be this. Kind of want to return unsub, right? But what's the type? What's the type of unsub? I mean, it must be effect unit, otherwise it would fail. So here we subscribe. Out of it, we get an unsubscription, and then we return that unsubscription. Why couldn't this be just the type effect unit? Why does it have to be? Yeah, no, I think it makes sense, but that's a weird error. Let's see what happens if we spago build again. I'm wondering whether if we're not in a weird state here. The unsub is not a function. Yeah, no, it's same thing. Okay, so unsub when we try to we try to unsubscribe here. That should lead to doing nothing. What if I comment this out? Folder are undefined. Okay, well, it's definitely not the same error. It's also reloading like a little bit like crazy. Okay, I think there must be, yeah, it's rebuilding. Let's wait until this finishes building. We might be in a weird, okay, it finished building. Ah, main. Yeah, there is an error. 103. Console input is there though, or is there some weirdness? And 103. Couldn't match unit with type effect unit. Okay, no, there is an error. Okay. So you're saying input. Okay, well let's try and put some type annotations here. And okay, with for all. We could specialize this, but and then cannot match type unit with effect unit. Subscribe returns. Actually, subscribe returns effective effect unit. So I think we should just do this, right? And then maybe restart. And then maybe reload. Okay, so here wrap free. So this doesn't actually compile. Hold on one second. Oh, that must be because of the type annotation. Yeah. And now it's folder for some reason. Require. Can I do this? I'm thinking something is been weirded out in the cache. I'll modify state. Yeah, it's okay. And then restart. Okay, and reload, and we have something else. Okay, so there was an issue. Could not update during an existing state transition, such as within render. Ah, right. Okay, okay, so fine. We'll pass on sub. And we will, it will be an effect unit. And pass it here, and we'll pass it here. and we remove this. Oh, right. Right, so hold on, what was the thought here? We execute on sub. Right, we need to put unsub here. Same problem of updating state transition and okay, what's yeah. Okay, maybe maybe same thing here. Yes, indeed. It's not clear. Yeah, it seems like it's doing exactly the same thing. And should be able to stop it. And we should be able to see yeah, I don't know that it's this interesting. It's overshadowed. Right, so in theory, right, the problem is that we're not sending the right unsub here. We get this unsub next, and when we send unsub next, then we should be updating it though. So no, in theory it should work. But this is really unwieldy. Really unwieldy. How else can we do that? Oh yeah. Yeah, we could forget about the whole thing and create and use another primitive. Use the set timer instead of set interval, which will just offset. So it will execute after 1,000 and then it will re-trigger and trigger for the next one, which is arguably somehow more declarative in some sense. I mean, it puts more of the declaration. It's kind of equivalent, I suppose, but the issue is that we need to create that because it's not in the FRP event framework. The other idea is that we don't use the FRP event framework and we use AF instead. That's another can of worms, but on the other hand, we will probably need AF at some point. So yeah, set timeout Purescript AF later. F prime later. Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, later would work, and so then I need to try and thread F somehow, which means probably changing the base monad here, allowing to maybe even changing it to F and call it done. I mean, call it done to the extent that I can maybe lift effect somewhere in here, or maybe, yeah, maybe here, because render will expect effect. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. So let's give it a shot. So we'll import import F. It's imported. So import F, and we'll call this F. And then I think we'll need to lift effect somewhere. Well, we can get rid of that, and that, and that. And then here we can call input send, and same here. And we can use a $, and what's going on here now? We have import F, but the F is not found. Control monad F. Really? Effect.f. And see if we have later. We don't have later anymore. What about in compat? No. So we might need to do that by ourselves, but I suppose that's going to be okay later. WebDriver and delay in F. There we go. Pauses the running fiber. Yeah, I think that's what we want. So here, yeah, F with effect, and so we need to lift something, right? And I think it's lift effect. F effect assemble from primitive effect. Maybe I'm thinking the reverse, or maybe yeah, isn't it the case that normally you want to have your top level thing in F? How does this work? It's no, yeah, so launch F. Launch F in Explorer, I suppose. And right, because I want to return effect unit, that's fine, but I want this to be in F. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. And therefore That's where I need to launch AF, I believe. Right. No, not at all. Send return effect unit. Hold on, I'm very confused right now. This is where I'd like to have my AF, right? Right. So this is where I can do delay. Yeah, except this is still not this, because what I want to do is I want to launch this with a 1000 delay. So so I need to understand a little bit more about AF, or remember a little bit more about AF. Test with timeout. Throw pure sequential to test delay. So delay do delay millisecond pure true. Right. So what I might be doing here is launching AF. I think I'm doing things reversed. Make AF, launch AF. Constructs an AF from a low-level effect using a callback. Canceller should be returned to cancel the pending action. Focus on AF from an effect context, and also takes a callback to run when it completes. Discarding the fiber. Oh boy, I'm sort of confused here about whether this is even possible, because I think with AF you generally want I think I'd want to return in AF unit here. And then I think, yeah, that would be effect unit, and this would be where I return in AF unit, I think. And then here, I need to launch AF. But that wouldn't work. That should work. But maybe I need to also launch AF on this. No. Yeah, no, because it's input that we care about. So input takes a send and returns an AF unit. Yeah, okay. Takes a send and returns an AF unit, and if I have an AF unit, then I should have an effect unit here. And so where is it? Maybe I don't even know. Render effect React element. Mesh type F with effect. Trying to mesh type F unit with effect unit. And if I do this, what do you say? You say can't match F with effect. Get send. You get an F unit back. That's an F unit. And an F unit. Launch F should just take care of. Why doesn't it do that? It seemingly does, but then type at the top level is not right. Comment at W, props. Ooh. Because I changed this too. Okay. So now input send has type this, which is this, yes. And we need to import F. And milliseconds, okay, right, so that's yeah, that actually is indeed not what we want, because we ideally would want to return an F, but now we have also this thing which is in effect. So can we just lift effect? Could be, or we can just lift effect. And like so. And then we comment. Apparently that's supposed to run. So on input we delay, and then we send an increment, and we're going to be doing that every loop. And that seems to work. No more of that shenanigan. Excellent. Yes, we did a thing. Lovely. And yeah, we did a thing that's pretty cool, because it also means we are dealing with F now, which is going to make things simpler than using FRP event, which, even though they're nice, they're not going to play as nicely. Plus, I haven't worked out the impedance mismatch with how to deal with FRP and React. That's just very ambitious piece. Okay, great. So what else can we do? Well, we said we want something better than counter and console, because right now we have indeed something that's able to be ran sort of. It's not really a hook. It's not exactly as elegant as we necessarily would want, but it's not bad. I'm not sure that we actually want to actually set like something like interval, because then we need the cancellation and we have something long running. Here we can just simply choose to not delay or skip, or it seems like that's more local, and probably better as a result. So we can count, we can have a delay, so a timer, and then we can also console log, right? We don't need to spy on key up. Should be able to, oh right, no, there's an issue with doing something smarter. We can, in theory, right, I can count. Interesting. What is that? So now it looks a bit like actually it is running the delay. Yeah, because of course, yes, because this is ran each time it re-renders. So we still have a problem. It's still not where we wanted. Because this gets executed at every re-render. So we really do want something slightly different. Let's condense this a bit so that we don't have to scroll to the bottom each time. And yeah. So I'm actually reevaluating what I said about the locality of things, because there's a case that could be made that in fact you want to create a source that you register on application initialization, and then, or at least on component startup, and that maybe on first component mounting in React parlance, and that by doing that you then get the canceller and you can cancel it later, but that's the more Reacty way to do things, I suppose. So here it's possible that we use another one of the React hooks in the Purescript React class. And the React class, other React class, React. Maybe it's element I want actually. React spec. Okay, I'm a little bit confused right now. I'm supposed to be returning a React class here. I'm creating with pure component. And pure component, take the React class constructor. And I think that's the guy I want. It takes this. So an effect record. No, so no. It's the spec. Spec. React takes, hold on, pure component takes a string, a React class constructor with a record of props and a record of state. Okay, I'm pretty confused here. I thought this was fairly easy, but visibly I have forgotten something. Render and render state. So that's React spec required. There must have been a change in the classes. And so render is a render, which is an effect of React element. And React element is what UI A returns, which is why this extract actually returns a React element. So okay, that's fine. And so this is not easy to read. The React spec required is one thing, and we expect all is required plus optional plus should component update. So here, all right, the record props are React pure component spec. So yeah, there's some type level shenanigan. So React pure component spec is React spec pure. Okay, so React spec pure is spec required and spec optional, and spec optional, spec required we've seen is render and state, and spec optional is all of these guys. So yeah, so we should be able to do something like component did mount, and then what's on there? That's effect unit. So the problem with that is that I'm thinking about composition here. If explore is right now we're using explore sort of at the top level, but we don't have to do that. We could use explore at various nesting level, and we could have a sort of a source setup or a subscription setup going on here. Do you know what this makes me think of? It makes me think of Purescript ChocoPie. Because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Justin did in here for some of that stuff. At least, okay, I think I'm going to be wrapping up. Let's take a look at the tests. Are you using React here? You are not, but you are using FRP event. I remember, I like that. And I was having trouble actually hooking things up with React, but I did go some way towards that. But here I think there was also something about hooking things up only once, but it was also some pretty fancy type level shenanigans going on. So I'm not even sure if I remember how this worked to be able to call some of this stuff only once, but I remember tracing it in a way that manually, basically, in a way that gave me, yes, it's the source builder and the sync builder, I think, that were ran only once, and then there was this kind of tying of the knots done by replicate many or something. Yeah, I think this was tying the knot. Subscribing to syncs and then pushing the sources. Really smart stuff right there. Which, if you think of it, really is also a kind of and credit to Cycle.js, it is a way to actually bridge the two worlds of that declarative, of that more FRP style and the React style. So I feel like I've opened up more questions than answers, but here, what I was to continue or finish on this thought, if I can nest and include sources at the component level by being smart in how I nest my React component with my comonadic components, then I can actually make those things fairly local. So in that sense, hooking them up to a component did mount could make sense, but yeah, what we saw is that a component did mount, however, will not give us access to state, so nor to the ability to modify state. So we'll probably need to, we need access to the this. We would have access to this though. So maybe that's not completely true what I'm saying then. Let's try that. Component did mount would be do of launch off input and then invalid do bind. Okay, is this because you need a pure unit here? Okay, we want an M. So this should actually be M to this. And we want states which we don't have unless we get states, which we can do. And that seems to work. Oh yeah, but because it's delay, it only executes once. And right. Okay, so if instead of delay I use repeat or something, does this exist? Delay. Never finally. I suppose. Lift effect. I suppose I could call input send here. No, could call input with send again. Okay. That doesn't seem to work. Why doesn't it work? I need to pure? No. Infinite type. Component did mount should be called once, but here this is not really a subscription. It's supposed to be an infinite thing. It feels like now I need to go back to subscriptions. Fine. Fine. Let's go back to subscription just to try and get this working. And we don't need to cancel. This runs, and then we do. This is not gonna run right now. It doesn't, because input doesn't have the right type anymore. But now, whoopsie. And now this should be working. And oh, right, it's not the right. It's not exactly the right effect here. Okay, still initializes once. Huh. Well, that's a surprise actually. Wow. Yeah. Does this mean it's unregistered? Ah, no. It means that it's called several times. Yeah. But it resets to the initial state, I think, because the state it gets at the beginning doesn't get updated. Okay. Well, we'll look into this next time. I need to run, so thanks a lot for watching, and more adventures with Purescript on Thursday. Bye-bye.